Okay, so we're going to do a backsplash on painted textured wall. In order to do that, first you need to prep the wall. So in order to prep the wall, you need to take off all of the covers and you need to get sandpaper. I used 120 grit sandpaper. And then all you're gonna do is sand it so that you get a rough surface, so that when you stick the tiles to it, it has something to grip to. And you're gonna do that the entire area that you're tiling. We're going behind the stove today, so I did a chalk line across where I want the tiles to go so I can make sure they're straight all the way to the end. These are the tools we're using. So as you can see, we're gonna do a blue subway tile. And then there's a putty knife. This thing isn't necessary, but I found it works. I don't even know what it's called. But it's got the pointy end on it. And then the blade. These are spacers. They come in different sizes. We got the 1 1/16. And all I did with these for the subway tile to lay out like this, I took the knife and I cut off the end and made it a 3 so that these would just fit right in there. And then you use those to provide the spacing. We chose Omni Grip because of the type of wall that we were working with, and it works pretty well. So now, to prep it, you're just gonna take this and you're gonna go across. You can go in circles, you can go across, it doesn't matter. You don't have to get it flat, you don't have to take the paint off, you just have to get it where it's got this nice texture. Okay, so the next part is gonna be the Omni Grip and the tiles and the spacers. So for the spacers, you're gonna take your knife and you're gonna cut off one end so that it becomes a 3-piece one. Oh, there we go. And you need 3 per brick.
It's like when you breathe in concrete, you can die because it all crystallizes in your lungs.
That's fun.
Huh?
That's fun.
I know. That's why I wanted to eat a concrete.
Okay, then you're also going to use your trowel, and you need one with 2 straight edges and 2 of the triangle serrated edges. The easiest way I found to do this is to take the small spatula and then put it on the trowel with the spatula. And then you're going to take it to the wall and you're going to go across it. You can go up to get it on the ends when it's not going in. Then you're going to take the diamond edge and you're going to come across. And you take your brick. So I've already got a spacer here. And you put it into that corner. And then before it's all the way in place, you're going to take another spacer. And you're going to put it down here. And make sure that it gets in there. And it's even on both. And then you're going to take another one and put it up here. So you're going to put a spacer there, there, and there. Press it in, make sure it stays, and you're going to continue that all the way down. So this one, I'm going to even it up. The other one. It's loud, sorry. And then you're going to take your other one and you're going to put it up there so that it's da-dun, da-dun, ended in. When you get to edges, you can turn it long ways and come down to make sure you get all the edges. So up at the top and then down. So make sure you have enough mud or omni grip, and then come down. You can do that, and then you can go across it. And then for the small tight places, you take your small one and you can just go across it with the small one. When you end up with a space that's not as wide as your tile, you're gonna take your tile and mark it where it goes. I like to, there's a spacer here, which is what this is gonna go on top of. So I like to take my pencil right on top of that spacer and then mark it out. So I know exactly where it needs to be cut at. And then count how many tiles you need that are full, which is 11. And you're gonna take them to the tile saw and you're gonna cut them down. On the tile saw, you just wanna make sure that there's water inside. And this is a drain, this black thing, so you can only fill up the water so high. It's really hard to see it. Let's see if I can get it in. Yeah, there we go. So once you take your tile, you're gonna line up your mark with the saw. And then you should have this arm that comes with it. This is gonna make it super easy and safe so you don't cut off your fingers. You're gonna line this up with where your tile needs to be. Top and bottom. And then you're just gonna lock it in place. And that way, all the tile you push through, you only have to push it through holding the longer side, which when you go through will come outside of the guard. And then you don't have to mark any of these. You just set them right back on there and push them all through. Depending on the tile saw you have, ours is a Ryobi. Our arm switch is down here. So when you're ready, you're just going to turn it on, and then the blade will start going and make sure that this is in place. When you're doing smaller cuts like this one and all you're taking off is a sliver, I like to stop the blade between each tile so that I can get this out without worrying about it bunching up back here and then breaking a tile on the next one. And then you just put this one back in and you turn it on. Do it again. Okay, so now that you have your cut pieces, the easiest way I've found to put them up there is to take your small spatula with the Omni grip and put it on the back and frost it like a cookie, but you know, just like a light frosting. Like you would frost a cookie when you're trying to tease yourself into a diet. Which never works. I've tried it. Then I like to take the cut edge and put it towards the top because the bottom edge is what they're going to see the most. And you're gonna need your 3-pronged spacers again. So you're gonna put it up there. Push it into place, and then take your spacers and put it where it's supposed to be. That way they're in there and the spacing is just right. in the videos of me struggling with these, just so you know that it's normal. And if you need some extra help like I do, you can always bring your sleeping kitty to help you. These ones are a little bit trickier, especially going around an outlet. You want to make sure that you leave enough space that when you put the plate on, the plate will cover it, but have something to hold on to. So on this one down here, you place it here, and then you just want to mark on the outside of the blue box. And then you'd want to slide it over and mark at the bottom of the metal bracket. And then from there, you use a tape measure, you can use a square. You just pull your pencil line down. And across. Use a ruler, tape measure, straight line, whatever kind you got. And that's really hard to see, but basically, then you know all this in here gets cut out. So from here down, here across, and up to there. So that way when you put it on, it goes right around the outlet. Now for this one, you're gonna set it slightly below and hold it in place right where the spacer is. And again, mark where that blue box is. And where this one goes across into the top, you can just cut that one in half all the way down. And then this piece, you would just take and you would put it over here and mark it on the blue box again. And you would also take that right down the middle. So you could use one tile for both spots. And then again on this one, you've got your spacers in place. You're gonna take the edge that's been cut and you're gonna put it in towards the outlet so it gets covered. Frost the tile. And then slip it in all the spacers. There's only 3 on this one, but you still need to put a 4th one so that it stays off the tile underneath it as well. And push it into place. And then the small piece, which goes right there, is gonna need a spacer on its own. This is spacing wise, you're gonna do like you did on the bottom, where you put one in crooked. So you take your spacer, put it on there, squish it up into place, take another spacer and put it in on the other corner. I let my husband do these ones because I am not proficient enough in the saw to do that. I can do straight cuts and that's it. Okay, next step is getting out all of your spacers so that you have nothing left in the cracks before you grout. The best tool I found to do this with is one of these pointy ones. It's just this screwdriver that has just a pointy tip. You can't really see it, it's blue, but there you go. That's all it is. And not the one that curves up and then out the other direction. It has to be one direction so that you don't chip the tiles. And then needle nose so that you can grab it if this doesn't just pop it right out. So you're gonna find one and you're just gonna stick it behind. So like this one, good one. And you take your needle nose, you just pull it out. So to make the grout, you'll want to find the colored grout that you want. We're using gray, not that, not that that matters to you, but we're using gray. And then you'll need some water, a sponge, a grout, trowel, and a bucket. If you're not by a kitchen sink, you're gonna want 3 buckets. In this bucket, you're gonna mix the grout and the water until it looks almost like frosting. It reminds me of frosting. And then you're gonna use the trowel to put it on the cracks. When you're done, you're gonna take the sponge and get it wet with clean water and then wipe it down. And you're gonna do that 2 to 3 times to get all the grout off the tiles. And every time in between each layer, you need new clean water.
You need to. No.
Okay. So you're gonna take this and you're gonna dump it in your bucket. Okay. Get some out. And then when you put it on, you're gonna go down at an angle and make sure that you get it all in there. You always want to go at an angle. And with the corner, you can go straight across, and then as long as you come back, make sure. The going at an angle is how you make sure you get it all in those cracks. And then you want to use one of these grout things to make sure it gets all the way in there. Over here, you're just gonna put some on your finger and then push it in and pull it down. And the same with these ones. If your thing's too big, I'm gonna try to use a plastic putty or mud knife and see if I can get them in here, but I might not, so bear with me while we try.
Go lay down there, go on, get out here, go, go, go. It means you think I'm being mean, but what I'm telling him is to stay the hell out of my way so I don't have to kill him. So it's a very polite thing.
Yeah, this didn't work so well. So on these ones, you're gonna use your fingers too.
What you interpret as an aggression.
Thanks for following along on an Allie's adventure. Trying to make things easier. Didn't work.
Well, you interpret it as a monster, but I interpret it as me looking out for his well-being. Okay.
Stop talking back! My bad. Once it's in there, just go right over it to make sure. Just like that. Okay, once the grout is in there, it looks bad. You're gonna take a damp sponge. It's just barely wet. Like if you wring it out, it's not really gonna squeeze out water, but it is wet. And you're gonna go over it and just clean it up. Make sure your grout lines are okay. If you see any bubbling, you gotta fix that. Fill it in. And you're just gonna do that on the whole wall. All right, once you get through the first round, it's looking cleaner. The grout looks good, but then there's still the mud on the outside. You're gonna clean out your sponge and you're gonna go again. If you're using buckets, you're going to use a different bucket of water so you have clean water along with a new sponge. So you have a clean sponge and clean water to go over this. Same thing. You're gonna get a new bucket of water and a new clean sponge, and you're gonna go and you're gonna repeat these steps until it's clean. This should be the last one it needs, but there's still some mud residue and bubbles that are left over, so this should be it. It should only take 3, but sometimes it can take 4 rounds. Once it starts drying, you'll see those streaks. As long as there's streaks and mud bubbles and whatnot, you'll want to keep cleaning it off. And now it's all done. Now it's just gotta dry all the way so I can get this final film off. And it's all done. And in a couple of days, actually by the time we leave tonight, it'll look like this.